It's so very interesting how one piece of information can be interpreted by so many different people. There was a tweet that was running around earlier this week. You can see when it was originally posted, May 17th, even earlier than this past week. And, they're just simply pointing out a statistic from what many people regard as the greatest film of all time, The Shawshank Redemption. And, it's interesting what a lot of people drew from this simple analysis. In the Shawshank Redemption, there are only 2 female speaking roles, totaling about 10 seconds in a 2-hour, 22-minute long film. That's interesting. Okay, immediately what pops to mind is, wow, you would never get that in today. There's nothing that even comes close to reaching those statistics. And the first reply under there, well, it did take place in a man's prison, so that sounds about right. And it's like, no, yeah, that totally makes sense. And then, of course, everybody else that's underneath of that, you get your wild world of replies and from the people that say, well, nobody cares. Okay, well, it's clear the tweet's got 17.6 million impressions, so clearly a few people care, and you did, in so much as you also wanted to tweet about it. But all right, probably the reason why it's voted the best film of all time, one of them is a skank wife cheating on him. But it's funny too, because, okay, when I seen those numbers and I'm thinking, all right, Shawshank drops in 94, and if we're going to be completely objective, has there been more great films since that film has released? Vast majority of my favorite films released prior to that. All my favorite gangster films, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, most of them. Well, definitely the 2 Godfathers. Goodfellas came out in 1990. Oh, Donnie Brasco. I think it was a little bit before Shawshank. Then, of course, you look at the quality of output that came out after that. And for a lot of people, myself included, especially with hindsight being what it is, the late 90s to early 2000s really was a second and arguably a last golden era for Hollywood. I guess a bunch of my favorite films came out in the late 70s through the 80s and into the early 90s. The rest of them probably came out at the turn of the millennium, within on and around a couple years a leeway. And while it wouldn't be as an extreme of an analysis that Shawshank would have, there would be, I would think, just simply coincidentally, 1 or 2 prominent females, like The Lord of the Rings. You got Galadriel and Éowyn. I would not replace them at all whatsoever. But of course, you got Arwen as well. Mrs. Bracegirdle and Labedia Sackville-Baggins. You got a few of them that are in there, right? But all in all, there was a point in time when you would point out something like that and people would go, that's weird. Never really thought about that before. That's great movie, but never really thought about that. But now, when it comes to modern movies, you see something like that, and then you get the response of, oh, that's why it's so good, or, oh, that's why this movie could never be made today. It's become a contentious point for a multitude of reasons, but I got to point specifically to a couple of examples. Case in point, like the quality of some of their output has made it an immediate red flag. We got Greta Gerwig, the scribe and the visionary behind Barbie. Yeah, she's going to be taking the reins of the Chronicles of Narnia, giving her the opportunity, not unlike Shawshank, to just, flesh out some significant source material, but I don't think the same level of care that Frank Darabont gave to the original work of Stephen King, I don't think Greta's going to be able to compare to the work of C.S. Lewis from all of those decades ago. But yeah, we got a little bit more clarification on this because Carey Mulligan joins Greta Gerwig's Narnia. All right, who exactly are you going to be playing? But Greta Gerwig wrote the script and will direct the adaptation of The Magician's Nephew for Netflix. I guess that's another confirmation that, instead of kicking off with its most well-known installment, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, we're going from phase 1. Okay, we're going with the earliest point, I think it was isn't it the 7th book chronologically released, but it is the earliest canonical story, The Magician's Nephew. That's wild. Okay, so Carey Mulligan is in negotiations to nab a key role in Narnia, Greta Gerwig's adaptation of C.S. Lewis's The Chronicles of Narnia fantasy novels. Now, to just tie that in with the previous tweet that we looked at before, if you're telling the story, it's been a long time. I'm pretty sure I read The Magician's Nephew. I think that was one of them, because I had such a weird reading list when it came to the Chronicles of Narnia. This is one of the series that I actually read a vast majority of the books of. But yeah, I'm most familiar with Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And here's the thing. quite a few. Like, it's a naturally, if you just simply want to look through it with this one specific lens, it's quite a diverse cast, okay? Got quite a few men, you got quite a few women. It's just not as diverse as I'm sure Netflix and Greta Gerwig would want for another avenue, but I'm sure we'll eventually have to cross that bridge because at one point in time we'll get to that. But we got some casting confirmation here that makes sure that the magician's nephew, well, it's probably just simply going to be a nephew in name only. The project is deep into the casting stage with Daniel Craig, Emma Mackey, and Meryl Streep being the big names on the roll call as the production seeks out its young leads. Oh, okay. Did they just casually confirm that we got gender swapped Aslan? Oh no. Okay, so Nephew, which is published most famous book in the series, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, serves as the latter's prequel. It follows the two youngsters who, thanks to the uncle's magical dabbling, unleashes the evil White Witch into the turn of the 20th century London. Craig is reportedly playing the uncle. All right, that's a decent casting. Obviously, I do like Daniel Craig well enough. It's just that was about the last time that I respected him as an actor. I like Skyfall quite a bit. It's quite a step below Casino Royale, at least in my opinion. But it's still head and shoulders above, Quantum of Solace, that I cannot remember at all whatsoever. Haven't got around to watching Spectre, and you couldn't pay me enough to watch No Time to Die. I already know how it ends, mercifully. Anyways, but yeah, okay, good call there. Mackie, the White Witch, oh great, and Streep voicing Aslan. Oh, for fuck's sakes. The Talking Lion, who in the books is the King of Kings. Yeah, exactly. He's pretty much a strict Jesus allegory, but hey, it's Meryl Streep now. Great, that's not going to change everything, right? Mulligan will play the very sick mother of Diggory, one of the two kids in the adventure. Netflix has no comment. Mark Gordon, Amy Pascal. Oh, great. Yeah, the idiot who greenlit the Spider-Man-less a Spider-Man universe over at Sony and then got a cushy job over at Netflix. Wow, they're just swiping up all the great talent, because recently on the gaming front it was discovered they poached the visionary director behind Avowed over at Obsidian to head up one of their last remaining gaming studios. I'm sure they're going to pump out something of equal or greater quality. But yes, and Vincent Sieber are among the producers of the adaptation, which will be getting a 2-week theatrical IMAX run in late 2026, which, yeah, man, that's going to be a packed release schedule, because we also got the announcement recently that Avengers Doomsday ended up getting kicked to December 18th. Yeah, December 18th, 2026 off of the May 1st, 2026. Going to be releasing, I don't think I mentioned that in the video, my mistake, but it's going to be releasing on the same day as Dune Messiah, which is, that's very interesting. I guess really wanting to run back that one missed opportunity, that near miss that the Marvels almost had by releasing in tandem with Dune Part 2. But while Avengers, it'll probably roll over Dune Messiah, I'm sure that there's, enough people that might remember Part 2 or Part 1 that'll be excited for Messiah, because that's what I think a lot of people realize is like the last coherent Frank Herbert novel that can be adapted before the Dune story gets buck-ass fucking wild with a bunch of Paul Atreides' kid, his son, turning into a big sandworm after he wanders off in the desert, gets blinded and dies. It's a fucking weird-ass story, man. It's very interesting, but yeah, I don't know how it's going to play for a bunch of normies that are out there. And especially with, oh God, it's like running back The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe again with the idiot that brought you Barbie with a whole bunch of recognizable names, ill cast for their roles. It's, yeah, as much as I think that it's silly, it is a quintessential Netflix move, which I am not looking forward to at all whatsoever. But hey, good news. We at least have 18 months to prep for it. Yay. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.